When you hear the word genius, what comes to mind? Perhaps images of great inventors, scientists, artists, or entrepreneurs who have changed the world with their extraordinary talents. But what does it really mean to be a genius? And how much of this label is shaped by factors beyond sheer intellect or creativity? In this video essay, we'll explore what it means to be a genius and deconstruct the myths that surround this term. Traditionally, a genius is defined as someone with exceptional intellectual or creative power, often credited with revolutionary ideas and innovations in fields like science, art, or business. Society has long been fascinated by the concept of genius, elevating certain individuals to almost mythical status due to their extraordinary talents. This fascination stems from the idea that these individuals are set apart from the rest of us by their unique abilities. What is it about the concept of genius that draws us in, and why do we so often elevate certain individuals to almost mythical status? The genius narrative is compelling because it fits neatly into our love for storytelling. Humans naturally gravitate towards stories with clear heroes and dramatic arcs, and the tale of a lone genius overcoming obstacles to change the world resonates deeply. This narrative appeals to our desire for inspiration and hope, even though it often overlooks the collaborative efforts and social context that actually drive innovation. Society's obsession with genius is also tied to broader cultural values, especially in Western cultures, where individual achievement and success are highly prized. The genius narrative aligns with these values, celebrating those who achieve greatness on their own and reinforcing the idea that success results from personal talent and hard work. This focus on individualism tends to ignore other crucial factors. Education systems play a significant role in perpetuating the genius narrative. From a young age, students are taught about historical figures as singular geniuses who changed the world through their brilliance. This approach simplifies complex historical and social processes, reinforcing the idea that genius is an individual trait, rather than something that can emerge from collective effort or favorable circumstances. The commercial world also benefits from the genius narrative, using it to create a sense of uniqueness and authority around products, companies, and individuals. Branding someone as a genius can add significant value. These figures symbolize the possibility of greatness, inspiring us to believe that one person can make a difference. But is genius simply about having a high IQ or an exceptional talent? Or is there more to it? Privilege plays a significant role in shaping society's perception of genius. Historically, many individuals recognized as geniuses came from privileged backgrounds that provided them with access to education, resources, and opportunities to develop their talents. Figures like Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and Marie Curie benefited from the support of wealthy patrons, prestigious institutions, and educational opportunities that were not available to most people. This access allowed them to showcase their abilities, but how many potential geniuses have been overlooked because they lacked the resources or opportunities to develop their talents? For those who do not have such advantages, privilege can determine whether their potential is recognized or ignored. Many individuals with the capacity for genius may never have the chance to fully develop their talents because they are born into circumstances that don't allow their abilities to flourish. The story of genius is often as much about access and opportunity as it is about innate talent, and without these, many potential geniuses remain unrecognized. Access to education is a particularly significant factor influenced by privilege. Historically, education has been a luxury reserved for the wealthy, and even today, socioeconomic status often determines the quality of schooling and the opportunities available. Scholarships and financial aid can help bridge this gap, but barriers remain high, and those from less privileged backgrounds often face additional challenges, such as discrimination and a lack of network. Geographical location also plays a crucial role in shaping the perception of genius. Many celebrated geniuses were born or lived in cultural or intellectual hubs, which provided fertile ground for innovation and creativity. However, those born in regions with fewer resources or where education is not prioritized may never have their genius recognized, simply because they are not in the right place. This highlights how environmental factors can heavily influence who is labeled as a genius. Moreover, societal biases related to race, gender, and class have historically excluded many from being recognized as geniuses. Women and people of color have often been marginalized and their achievements downplayed or credited to others. Although there is growing recognition of the need to broaden our understanding of genius to include diverse voices. Recognizing the role of privilege in shaping the narrative of genius allows us to appreciate that innovation, creativity, and intellectual achievement are not limited to a few gifted individuals, but can be found in people from all walks of life. Timing, as they say, is everything. Throughout history, many individuals we now celebrate as geniuses were able to achieve their breakthroughs not just because of their intelligence or creativity, but because they were in the right place at the right time. Consider how different the world might be if certain geniuses had been born in another time or place. Would Steve Jobs have been able to revolutionize personal computing if he had been born in the 19th century? Could Leonardo da Vinci have achieved the same level of recognition and impact if he had lived during the Middle Ages, rather than the Renaissance, a period that celebrated artistic and scientific exploration? The invention of the steam engine, for example, was perfectly timed to fuel the Industrial Revolution. Innovations often build on one another, and the genius who makes a breakthrough is frequently standing on the shoulders of those who came before. If Thomas Edison had not invented the light bulb, would Nikola Tesla's work on alternating current have been as impactful? The timing of an idea's introduction can determine its success, and whether the person behind it is celebrated as a genius or fades into obscurity. However, timing can also be unforgiving. History is filled with examples of brilliant ideas that were introduced too early or too late to gain traction. For instance, Nikola Tesla's ideas for wireless electricity were far ahead of their time and were not widely adopted during his life. Similarly, Ada Lovelace's early work on computer algorithms was not fully appreciated until long after her death. These individuals were undeniably brilliant, but their timing was off, and as a result they didn't receive the recognition they deserved. Location is another crucial aspect of timing. Certain places at certain times become hotbeds of innovation. Think of Athens during the classical era, Florence during the Renaissance, or Silicon Valley today. These locations offer the right mix of resources, talent, and cultural openness that allows genius to thrive. Conversely, being in the wrong place at the wrong time can result in brilliant ideas being ignored or forgotten, as innovators isolated from cultural and intellectual centers may struggle to gain the necessary support. Ultimately, timing, place, and societal readiness are essential factors in determining who is labeled a genius. The social and cultural context of the time can either hinder or facilitate the acceptance of new ideas, meaning that genius is not solely an individual trait, but a product of broader historical and societal factors. Understanding this helps us appreciate that genius is often about the right idea at the right time, rather than just inherent talent or intellect. The narrative of the lone genius, a figure who single-handedly transforms the world through sheer intellect or creativity, has long been a myth. This romanticized image suggests that genius is an innate quality possessed by a select few, who, through solitary effort, achieve groundbreaking discoveries or create masterpieces. However, the reality is far more complex, as the vast majority of what we consider genius is often the result of collaboration and the sharing of knowledge across networks of thinkers and innovators. For example, the development of the atomic bomb, often associated with figures like J. Robert Oppenheimer, was actually the product of the Manhattan Project, a massive collaborative effort involving thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians. Similarly, in the art world, the Impressionists in Paris, such as Claude Monet and Edgar Degas, were part of a close-knit group that shared ideas and influenced each other, leading to the success of the movement. Their collective efforts, rather than isolated brilliance, were key to the lasting impact of their work. In the contemporary tech industry, the myth of the lone genius persists, with figures like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk often portrayed as singular visionaries. However, their successes were built on the collaborative efforts of countless others, including engineers, designers, and marketers. Apple's iconic products, for instance, were not solely the result of Jobs' ideas, but also the work of a talented team, including designer Oni Ive. Similarly, Tesla's and SpaceX's advancements are the result of extensive collaboration among dedicated teams of experts. Ultimately, the concept of the lone genius is more myth than reality. While individual talent and brilliance are important, they are rarely sufficient on their own to bring about world-changing innovations. True breakthroughs are made through collaboration and the collective efforts of many. By moving beyond the myth of the lone genius, we can create a more inclusive environment where everyone's contributions are valued and where the potential for genius can be realized by all. While hard work, talent, and intellect are often highlighted as key ingredients of genius, luck also plays a surprisingly significant role. Many individuals considered geniuses were in the right place at the right time, stumbled upon ideas by accident, or had the fortune to meet the right person. For example, in 1928, Fleming noticed that a mold had contaminated one of his petri dishes and had killed the surrounding bacteria. Instead of discarding the dish, Fleming's curiosity led him to investigate further, eventually leading to the development of penicillin. This stroke of luck transformed modern medicine, but it also highlights how serendipity can play a critical role in scientific discovery.
Isaac Newton's discovery of the law of gravity is another iconic example. While the story of the apple falling on his head may be more myth than fact, it underscores a broader truth about how chance events can lead to groundbreaking ideas. Newton's ability to connect the seemingly mundane event of a falling apple with the principles governing the movement of celestial bodies was a pivotal moment in the history of science. Yet this moment of inspiration was as much about being in the right mindset and environment as it was about Newton's intellectual prowess. Invention, too, is often a chaotic process where trial and error combined with unexpected results can lead to success. The invention of the microwave oven is a perfect example. Percy Spencer, an engineer working on radar technology, noticed that a chocolate bar in his pocket had melted when he stood near an active magnetron. Intrigued by this accidental discovery, Spencer experimented with other foods and eventually developed the first microwave oven. This invention revolutionized how we cook, yet it was born out of sheer luck rather than a deliberate attempt to create a new cooking device.
In the business and technology world, luck also plays a critical role. Steve Jobs often spoke about the serendipitous events that shaped Apple's early success, such as meeting Steve Wozniak at the right time and benefiting from the personal computer revolution. Similarly, Bill Gates acknowledged that being born during the dawn of the personal computing era was a significant factor in Microsoft's success. Without these fortunate circumstances, their stories might have been very different. However, not everyone is so lucky. For every success story shaped by serendipity, many equally talented individuals missed out due to bad timing or unfortunate circumstances. This highlights that the difference between being recognized as a genius and being forgotten by history can sometimes come down to a single lucky break. Recognizing the role of luck and serendipity helps us understand that success is a complex mix of factors, both within and beyond our control, and that genius is often about being open to unexpected opportunities at the right time. The concept of genius is socially constructed, meaning that societal values, biases, and narratives shape our understanding of who is considered a genius and why. This selective recognition has historically overlooked many talented individuals who don't fit the traditional mold. Historically, those labeled as geniuses tend to come from specific demographic groups, often white, male, and from Western societies. This reflects the cultural and institutional biases that have long dominated fields like science, art, and literature. While figures like Einstein and Da Vinci are celebrated, equally brilliant women, people of color, and individuals from non-Western cultures have often been marginalized or erased from the narrative, receiving recognition only much later, if at all.
Consider Ada Lovelace, often regarded as the first computer programmer, or Katherine Johnson, whose mathematical calculations were crucial to the success of NASA's early space missions. These women made groundbreaking contributions in their fields, yet their recognition came much later, often only after the dominant narrative of genius had already been written by and for men. This delayed recognition shows how societal biases can obscure the contributions of those who don't fit the traditional image of a genius.
The concept of genius is also shaped by cultural context, which changes over time. What one society or era considers genius may not be viewed the same way in another. For example, ancient Greece valued philosophical and mathematical achievements, while the Renaissance celebrated artistic innovation. Today, figures like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk are seen as modern-day geniuses in a technology-driven world, highlighting that genius is not an absolute concept, but one that evolves with societal values. Awards and honors like the Nobel Prize and MacArthur Genius Grants play a significant role in reinforcing the idea of genius. However, the selection and processes for these accolades are not immune to bias, often perpetuating existing power structures and overlooking deserving candidates who don't fit the traditional mold. This shows how societal biases continue to shape who is recognized as a genius. The media and popular culture further shape our perception of genius. The stories we tell about geniuses often focus on a few iconic figures, turning their lives into myths that are retold through books, films, and documentaries. These narratives tend to emphasize individual brilliance while downplaying the collaborative effort, privileges, and lucky breaks that contributed to their success. This selective storytelling reinforces the idea that genius is an innate quality possessed by a rare few, rather than a more complex interplay of talent, opportunity, and societal recognition. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the need to broaden our definition of genius to include diverse voices and perspectives. This shift involves rethinking the criteria by which we judge brilliance and challenging traditional narratives. By doing so, we can start to appreciate the contributions of those who have been historically overlooked and understand that genius can take many forms, shaped by different experiences and perspectives. So, what does it really mean to be a genius? It's not just about IQ, creativity, or revolutionary ideas. By focusing so much on individual brilliance, we risk overlooking the many factors that contribute to success and innovation. Factors like collaboration, privilege, and even luck. By expanding our understanding of what it means to be a genius, we can create a more inclusive and accurate picture of how great achievements are really made. Genius is not just about the individual, it's about the communities, the opportunities, and the collective efforts that make extraordinary things possible. As we rethink the concept of genius, it's important to broaden our perspective and recognize that extraordinary talent and innovation can come from anywhere and anyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to support our attempt to challenge conventional wisdom and inspire new ways of thinking. See you next time.